your first time to attend a senior lobby? Wow! Very nice. And me too. This is my very first time here for this senior event, and I am more than excited. I said that to you before. You may have heard me say that I wasn't really trying to have both my feet into that senior conversation about older and things that happen when you mature. But what I realize is, as sure as I'm standing here, it will happen to me also. So what I want you, ladies and gentlemen, to do is to get involved, to get active, like Ed suggested, so you can have some things in place, so when I turn 65, everything will be okay. Okay, so for this afternoon, we're going to have some presentations again like we had earlier from Ed, the President. We're going to do the history of the Colorado Senior Lobby. And then we're going to have a panel discussion, and actually they're just going to give us some information on did you know things about their organizations that would really work for you. Then we're going to have some questions, and then you're going to hear from me again as I represent a call to action for this group. And then we're going to have the closing and the giveaway. And for the giveaways, you must be present to win, so you got to stick around with us. So at this time, we're going to have some legislators and some of our lawmakers who are here joining us for lunch to come and share some information that they have about the senior population. And they're just going to come up and give you information. So while you finish with your meal, if you could give them some of your attention, then we would appreciate it. So for anyone who is, all right, we have a volunteer. So once again, if you could give anyone who is at the mic your full attention while you're still finishing your meal. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I hope you're enjoying your lunch. My name is John Kafalis. I am a state senator, Senate District 14. I represent folks in the city of Fort Collins. Are there any folks from Fort Collins? Yay! Yay, Fort Collins. Oh, hi, Ruth. That's great. That's great. Because I know that usually we have a bus that comes down. I'm not sure if we have the bus this year. But I just want to, I'll be brief. I just want to say thank you for being here. I think it goes without saying that I think you get it, that your participation in all of this stuff that we do at the Capitol is really, really important. Your engagement, your informed, helping us to understand the realities of elders and seniors who are, especially folks who are living on fixed incomes. I mean, the realities that you can share with us help us to make better decisions about policy. And one thing I want to just touch on when I was talking to Rich Morrow, an example of why I think this stuff matters is, I think it was back in 2013, we passed a bill regarding old age pension and indexing the old age pension to inflation, and we did a couple of other things. I was involved in that bill, and thanks to Kelly Fritz and AARP folks, because they were involved in particular, and I think Dr. Koch, in putting an amendment on that bill. And basically what the amendment said is that with the senior homestead property tax exemption, you know, the Joint Budget Committee has to make an estimate of what it's going to cost to do the senior homestead property tax exemption. And if the actual amount is less than what the estimate is, then that money can be redirected into the Older Coloradans Fund, which among other things helps with things like Meals on Wheels, etc. So this is the first year that actually occurred, and I believe the dollar amount that's going to go into the Older Coloradans Fund is perhaps about $1.5 million. So that's an example of where it makes a difference. And I give another shout out that the more we can do, public-private sector, to ensure that folks live in their homes, they age in place with dignity as long as they can. That's the way to do things. Blessings to you all. Buen provecho. Thank you for being here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we had a coat left at the Capitol, and if anybody left that coat at the Capitol, it is here. Somewhere. Just the messenger.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Steve Lepsock, and I represent the people of West Thornton. Northland and Federal Heights. So do we have any Thornton, Northland, or Federal Heights people here? Great, that's awesome. Well, I'm your state representative, and make sure that you put my cell phone on speed dial because I want to represent you well. And so the senior lobby and the ARP, we've got a good history together. Last year we were down here banging heads at the state capitol, making sure that we passed good bills for seniors, and we did get one really good bill passed, which was a comprehensive plan on aging. And that was so give yourself a hand for coming down to this capitol and making sure that we passed that really good bill. That was a really good bill, ended up passing with bipartisan support. And so that was really good. And so we have much more work to do, but it was an absolute honor to represent seniors and our citizens in Colorado and make sure that we're advocating for good bills for us. And so thank you very much.
And I'm Beth McCann. I met some of you this morning. I represent House District 8, which is Central and Northeast Denver. So do we have any Denver folks here? We probably have a fair amount. Yay! Thank you all for coming down today. This is a really exciting time for us because we get an opportunity to talk to some of you who have some issues and concerns about things that are going on at the State House. So today the House is talking about the budget, and I'm happy to say that the senior property tax homestead exemption is in the budget for this year. So we will be continuing that program for next year. And we actually have been able to balance the budget this year without as many cuts as we thought that we would take because of some good work by our JVC members, and that's encouraging. You know, our revenues are doing pretty well here in Colorado, but because we have the Tabor Amendment, we can't always take advantage of those revenues. And so one of the things that we are trying to do this year is move the hospital provider fee out of our general fund revenue so we can free up some more money for schools and transportation and things of that nature. So we'll be seeing more about that as the session goes on. But we're in pretty good shape this year with our budget, so we're excited about that. And we have a number of good bills that we're talking about down in the Capitol. And I think you'll be pleased with the kind of work that we're doing this year on behalf of seniors as well as children. Also, we are able to continue our funding for public education and actually increase it a little bit this year, which is really helpful. We also have been able to put some money into transportation. Those are two of our big concerns that are going on this year. So welcome again, and we appreciate your coming, and I am happy to talk to any of you about issues that you'd like to discuss. And thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here for lunch today. My name is Joanne Janal. I represent the House District in Fort Collins, House District 52. And I am on both health committees, which is Health Insurance and Environment, of which I'm vice chair. Beth McCann is the chair, so it's a great combination, and I love working with her and the whole committee. And we do a lot of great things in regards to senior issues. I also am on Public Health and Human Services and Agriculture, Livestock, and Natural Resources. But I want to let you know that I ran two bills that I think are of interest to you as seniors or even to non-seniors. One of them is the End of Life Options Act, which for the second year in a row did not pass. But I never give up, so I will continue on that. And I think it's a choice that a lot of people want. It's not for everybody, but I think if you need that choice, if you want that choice, you should be able to have it. So thank you for your support on that bill. And another bill that I ran, that I will bring back again next year, is the Prescription Drug Transparency Act. I'm very passionate about this because When I learned that some of the most expensive drugs were $400,000 per course of treatment or per year, I don't know how anybody, whether they have insurance or not and have a copay of, say, 80-20, could even take that out of pocket for a medication. And what good is a medication if you can't afford it to help you? So I will continue to fight not only for seniors, but for everyone in regards to bringing down the cost of health care. And this is one way we can do it. Yes, we have high health insurance costs, and we have high diagnostic testing costs and a lot of other things that enter into the equation. But the only company or entity that isn't really regulated after a drug is approved is the pharmaceutical industry. And wasn't looking for a regulation with the bill that I ran. I was looking to find out why the cost of drugs that were over $50,000 or higher. How did they come to that price tag? And so I will continue on again to try to fight to make sure that we're trying to keep our health care prices down. So thank you very much for having us today.
I'm obviously not a legislator, but I just wanted to mention something because I didn't get a chance to this morning. Earlier this morning at the session, Representative Lois Court, who represents a district in South Denver, stopped by, but we were in the middle of something and she didn't have that much time because she had to head to the caucus on the log bill and asked me to promise to mention to the group that she had come by, so I needed to fulfill that promise. And she said, just tell them that as far as I'm concerned, every day is senior day.
You guys rock. Okay, I would be remiss if we did not say good afternoon to those two remote site locations who are live streamed with this presentation. And those are coming from the Garden Plaza of Aurora and also from the Commons of Hilltop in Grand Junction. So we just want to say, hey. All right, so now I want to bring up Karen Brown, who is one of the board members of Colorado Senior Lobby. She has a couple of announcements she'd like to make to you. Thank you.
Hello. I have two quick announcements. You're here for Colorado Senior Lobby Day, so what does that mean we do? We lobby. Okay. We didn't actually lobby today, but we would like to invite any of you who might be interested in coming and spending a luncheon with us to kind of learn what you do to lobby, and then spending a day with us at the Capitol, actually lobbying on behalf of some of those senior bills. So we need for you to shout, we need you to bring your megaphones, we need for your voices to be heard. If you're interested in joining us, just again, it's a luncheon and a day at the Capitol. It doesn't have to be a full day. Come over to the table with the balloons and sign up. We would love to have you be involved. The second piece is I'm actually involved with some of the entrepreneur space in the state of Colorado. Those are young entrepreneurs, software engineers, trying to develop products to help the aging population age in place. We're looking for a group of aging people to help us figure out what are the things that you might want technology to address, and how could we unite technology and aging solutions. So if you're interested in joining us for a lunch to explore how you think that could work, your challenges with technology, what we could do to make it easier, come to the table with the balloons and sign up. We'll have a sheet over there for both of these for the Senior Lobby Day to actually come and lobby with us, as well as to sign up for the Uniting Aging and Technology. Thank you.
All right, so now I'm going to bring Ed back up. Ed is the current president of the Colorado Senior Lobbies, and he has, here he comes. All right, he has some information he wants to share with you, thanking some of our sponsors. Wasn't this a wonderful event? Wasn't it a wonderful event? Of the senior lobby. So if you could give Ed your undivided attention, thank you.
so much. I want to do something. There's a very special person here today. If you all think you can't do anything to make a difference, I want to recognize this lady who sat around her kitchen table collecting money to give to seniors. And now it's gotten to be several $100,000 a year that she raises. Her name is Betty Proctor. It's now known as the Betty Proctor Fund. It is managed by, what's the company? Yeah, at any rate, it's just, you know, that's what you can do. She just did that on her own, without people involved. So, how many of you are going to go out and start your own effort like this? I'm looking for hands. Okay, I did want to do some. I want to recognize the sponsors again. You know, you see their reflection by them. They're really good, important to us, and also provide a lot of good. So there's a mix of people there. There's nonprofits and some profit companies, and they bring a lot of skill and talent to the thing. And this morning I didn't read off the director's names because I forgot to take the list out. So I'm going to read off our directors. Bob Epstein. Bob here? I think he might be. Okay. Then Karen Brown, who you just talked to, is over here. Karen is also on the strategic planning group. She's a member of that committee. The secretary is Corinne Hall, who's directing planning over. Is she here now? There's back in that corner. Mike Drake is the immediate past president. I don't think that's the same Mike. I think he probably. Kai Agnew, who is also on the strategic planning group committee. We're quite proud to have two board directors on that. Kai's over here. She's the one that got all the afternoon together and got all the sponsors. For your information, we doubled our revenue from sponsorships this year. Another director is Seth Greiner. Seth is an administrative assistant to Representative Tyler. And he was here for a while, but he probably has to go back. Jeanette Hensley, I didn't see her over there. Jeanette's been on the board for some time. Was the head of the Aging and Adult Services company at Human Services. Rich Morrow, you've seen more than once. Rich is, I'm not going to get his title right, but he's policy analyst and several things for Dr. Carr. But he's the one at this Capitol making things happen for Dr. Carr. Just as an aside, I've had this book on dealing with cities around the country. And Denver had two special things in that book. They were really featured more than any other organization. One was Dr. Carr, which is all the firms working together to really make things happen. And the other is the science and cultural, which you all understand the importance of that. Then we have Harvey McWhorter, who is works with the 50-plus newspaper, and he's over here taking pictures of Ann Meyer is here, and Ann is the state ombudsman. And she's the one with the people that she works with or stuff, are the ones that really are the real protection to people and not the nursing homes, those I think are under federal regulation. But but the assisted living and other places where there's older people. And John Stoffel, who I haven't seen today either. So, anyway, I did wanted to mention all that. I gotta be quick here. So, and the committee, again, we'll recognize the committee, which did incredible work. We really wanted to get going on the. I got to see what we've got here. Get it up. Okay, we're talking about the origins of the organization. We heard about this some this morning, and we started thinking about it in '79. And there's two models around the country that are going on for these. One is the model that we use, which is people get together and go down to the legislature and try to make things happen. The other model, which was rejected by these people at that time, was where seniors get together when the legislature is not in session and hold their own mock legislature and create some bills they would want to get passed. This was rejected because they didn't really consider that as enough. It wasn't really going to make things happen. Let's skip on a little bit. Right? We're going to run out of time here. Go ahead in a couple of moments. The person that made this happen was never president of the village. Maybe this works still. So at any rate, you can talk about. We even went up to Washington, which was the model of what was happening, brought it all together. He came back, brought this enormous enthusiasm. In the early sessions, we had a vice president in each of the AAA regions. We had 14 vice presidents around the state. And as I mentioned this morning, we had 3 senior days, and these outlying locations would come into the West Slope. So we'd have about 150 at each of those locations. Here are state presidents. The first was Robert Hubbard, Thomas Daly, Eric Boyer, Richard Tucker, William Smith, and Eric Boyer filled in when William Smith had to resign for a short time. Fern Osborne, does anyone know any of these people? Should know Fern. And Mike was the next president, Bob, and then myself. So let's go all the way back to the beginning. And this is Tom Daly on the right and Eric Boyer, who were kind of key people in the early days. This is Fern. I heard that Fern was a terror about at the Capitol. Legislators cringed when she came, so she's my idol. Well, I never feel that she's no longer with us. This is Mike Drake on the left with Mary Spiegel, who, to my knowledge, was not one of the officers. And here I can put this up. I don't know who any of these people are. People don't let me know who they are. I would be glad to. This was a retreat. You can see the number of people that were getting involved. Because these things don't happen with 2 or 3 people over in the corner. It takes big numbers. And that's really why I let it in there. This was very interesting to me. Back in 1988, in that time frame, the senior lobby taught education on legislation and how the legislature works at Jefferson High School, so it's Competition High School. And received this plaque. It's It's unfortunately not readable, that's why I wrote the words on the left first. I thought it was particularly interesting. This was the National Council of Senior Citizens recognizing this, and I haven't run into that, so I don't know if this is still, I was hoping some people might give me a little information on a couple of these things. This came from the Human Services Department, signed with the two people that put their name on it. What's interesting about this, and you'll see this was an award for planning for the 21st century. So we now have another committee planning for the 21st century. And these things never go away. We've never really managed them. And this is what, and you saw Jim talk this morning, he'll be on the panel this afternoon, the Strategic Action Planning Group. Older Americans Fund, which we fight with right now, President Reagan was studying that in 1982. And the Older Americans Fund, for those who don't know, feeds into the Older Coloradans Fund, which provides, among other things, Meals on Wheels and transportation and other services. So this is the funding that comes for this. And we've talked at various times about how Colorado gets shortchanged from the federal funding because they're using the 2000 census. This is how Congress worked. The 2000 census and still basing it on the 2006 budget, which was the last budget really fast. They just keep renewing these things. So
I'm going to give an update on that in a little bit.
okay, so we would love to have an update on it. I'm just saying these things never go away. They never really fund it. And they keep thinking, well, we can cut it, but it doesn't. But here's the song centers because we are working hard. We got our whole group of 9 of them to try and make it fair for Colorado. So they are working hard on that. What did we discuss in 1983? Elder abuse. 2013, finally, we passed elder abuse. We were one of 3 states without it. Think about that, how long it takes. I did want to recognize Charles Carter, one of our members, was working on that as early as 1990, and he worked diligently for the whole of the year to get it passed, and finally was maybe the key person. Evie, who was here, was a key legislator that got it through. This is from Bill Hanna. It may be impossible to select the words to adequately express the highest regards and compliments I have for the many accomplishments, leadership, and tireless work you've provided, you being the senior lobby, and continue to provide on behalf of older Coloradans through the senior lobby. Sincerely, William J. Hanna, Director of Aging and Adult Services Division. Medical cost containment. Anticipate a shift from fee for services. More treatment is not necessarily better treatment. How many of you think we've solved that problem? I really changed it. Then these are just a few pictures. We don't have very many pictures. If anyone had pictures anything to do with the senior lobby, we would love to get those. We have very little in our file. These were all getting awards through the 3 legislators. Those are awards that they gave out to legislators. And the picture you can't see, unfortunately, is Governor Romer addressing the group in the early 1990s. So. Okay, everyone join today. That's it for this meeting.
My name is Senator Larry Carter, and I just was kind of welcoming to the day here. Colorado's Day is a special day here. So sorry, I might have just got out of committee. But, you know, I just want you to know that we still advocate for you. You know, the Meals on Wheels and Medicare cuts are a great concern to all of us. And it's something that, you know, with the impending population of the older Americans, I think it's something we should continue to do. You know, it's something that is going to have to be addressed. And, you know, we will continue to advocate for you. We've got a great team here. You know, Ed is tirelessly, you know, working for your benefit, and we understand the severity of the situation, and we will continue to work for you. Again, enjoy your day. I just had a minute to come in and say hi to you, and you know, I just really appreciate all you do. Thank you very much.
Now, no pressure, but I just got a check for an individual membership, because you know that's what we're here to talk about, is membership. So I just want you to know that someone has led the way. So for those of you who want to continue to come on in with the membership dues, donations, I'll be happy to take them. All right, so now we're going to have, you heard from 3 of these individuals earlier this morning. And I know if you're like me, you know that there was not all the information that they could cover. So we thought we would have them back for the afternoon session so we could give you some more information. So with that being said, could I get Jim Reesberg, Eileen Doherty, Kelly Fritz, and Jayla Sanchez Warren to come up. And they're going to give you a little bit of information. We have about 40 minutes between the 4 of them. I just want to put that out there to you guys. So they're going to give us some information, some tidbits. Did you know about their organization? So if you can give them your attention, thank you so much.
Good afternoon. We're kind of out of order, but they put my slides up, so I'm going to go first. My name is Jayla Sanchez Warren. I'm the director of the Area Agency on Aging here in the Denver metropolitan area. How many of you heard of Area Agencies on Aging before? Yay! Awesome! Woo! Look at this. Now, there are several of my colleagues here. There are 16 Area Agencies on Aging in the state of Colorado, and there are several AAA directors here. If you all could stand, I'd love you to be acknowledged for all the hard work you're doing. Joe, so a lot of AAAs. Our job, the role of an area agency on aging, I didn't make notes, so, is to fund services, things like transportation, nutrition programs. We're the #1 funder of Meals on Wheels in the state. In the metropolitan area, 650,000 Meals on Wheels this year. And a lot of other supports, caregiver supports, legal supports, in-home supports. The goal is to try and keep people living in their homes and communities for as long as possible. If you need help with yard work, if you need help cleaning your house, if you need help as a caregiver, all of those things are provided by the Area Agency on Aging. Guess what? If you're 60 and older, you qualify. How many 60 and older? Look at all our customers here. I also have some awesome staff here. I want you to acknowledge yourselves that help support and get those services out in the community. Case managers, and then Mindy, who's been on an active part of this planning committee. We provide services. You heard about the long-term care ombudsman program. This is a program that protects the rights of people that live in nursing homes and assisted living. We have the state ombudsman here, but every area agency also has an ombudsman program, so I think that's very important. Options counseling, information and assistance. If you think you need something related to help or aging information or services, call the Area Agency on Aging in your area. I want to talk to you a little bit about our challenges. We what's happening to our population? It's rapidly aging. Look at, in the next 40 years, where's all the growth? It's in the 65 to 85 year category. We are aging. We are an aging society. But look at that little Time Life magazine. So some folks say, you know, well, once the boomers end, then this aging thing will be over. No. No, right? That Time Life picture says this child could live to be 142. Yeah. This isn't going away, guys. Okay? Think about the alternative to aging. Right? Not so good. So aging's a good thing, isn't it? Yeah, let's celebrate that aging. We just have to learn to do it better. This talks a little bit about the demographics in the state of Colorado and the cohorts, right? So people from 75 to 79 in the next 10 years, from 2014 to 2024, 94.4% growth. Holy mackerel, look at the 90 plus population. 37.6% growth in the 90 plus population. So not only are the boomers aging, but we are living longer. This trend isn't going away. We got to figure out how to do it better and support people in the way they want to live. And not just in nursing homes and assisted living. There is a place for that, but it doesn't, you know, that should be at the last part of your life. And not even if you know, as an option. So the Older Americans Act, right? The Older Americans Act is where we get our funding, our federal funding. And everybody right now, I want you to give a big applause for the Colorado Legislature. Everybody. Because when we were getting cuts at the federal level, the state of Colorado gave us increases for senior funds. Increases for the prior 3 years. $12 million more so that we could provide more Meals on Wheels, more transportation, more legal services, all of those services that we talked about. But we have a problem at the federal level, and the problem is that the funding formula that they used isn't equitable. And Colorado gets hurt in that funding scenario. But it's not only Colorado. All those states in the red are the states that are penalized or get less money than they should. The states in the green get more money, and the states in the yellow remain neutral. So 2/3 of the country right now are penalized by the funding formula of the Older Americans Act. It took us a while to figure this out. But you know what? We've been doing a lot of advocacy, and I mean we collectively, a lot of people in this room, the AAAs, what we've been doing, so we've been talking about the Older Americans Act for 4 years, making trips to Washington, telling the legislators how important this little itty bitty program in their budget, and their overall budget, it's like a speck, I'm not kidding you, how much that does. And so we worked with Senator Bennett, and he developed, he was a part of a small subcommittee, and they worked on Senate Bill 92. It's a compromise. It gave Colorado a little bit more money. It did. It moved us into, and so they implemented a new funding formula. But that funding formula has winners and losers. So while Colorado becomes a winner just barely, other states lose. We don't want anyone to be knocked into that category, because I know what it's like. For 10 years, we have not had adequate funding. We asked Senator Gardner to help us increase funding, and he did. He put a hold on the bill for a while so that people could discuss the funding formula. Congressman Polis asked for a congressional review of the funding. This gave us the black and white information that we needed to prove, in fact, that this was happening. That happened. Then you know what? Then I left out what? Oh yeah, the letter of support from all of our the 7 council members signed off a letter saying, this is important, we need the funding formula to be corrected. And then Mr. Rich Schmarl, very instrumental in getting the last, which was the Colorado legislature this session, passed the Senate joint memorial saying, hey, guys, we need to change this to make it fair. So what do we need you to do? The bill's going to go to conference committee. It will likely pass this year. The reauthorization is scheduled for 3 years. We need to work together to get the funding increased overall. So we want you to say thank you to our congressman when you see him and to the Colorado legislature. We want you to advocate that the Older Americans Act gets passed this year. And then we want you to tell your legislators, yeah, but you know what, we got to change that funding formula, make it so that no state is penalized and that we're all treated fairly. The money should follow the senior. Whatever state has the senior, they should have the money to help support that individual. Thanks.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Jim Reesberg, and they asked me to speak again this afternoon, but said don't tell them the same thing. So I said, well, I think we need to talk a little bit about how we're going to get this done, particularly when we talk about the economic issues on a statewide basis. But I also think it's important that as we move forward, that you never deny that you are aging. Never fear getting older. Dream about it and work to live to a ripe old age. Confront your challenges and embrace new opportunities. And if that's the way we live our lives, and that's the way we can direct our representatives to begin to work in the state as well. Senator Crowder was in and out very quickly, but we need to tell you that Senator Crowder was the Senate sponsor of 1033 last year that created the Strategic Action Planning Group on Aging, and carried that bill into a committee that was preordained to defeat that bill. The Capitol Hill, like talk about killing things, they were going to postpone it indefinitely. But through the work of Club 20 and the chairman of that committee, Senator Scott and Senator Crowder, that bill got through the Senate, and the bill was passed and signed by the governor. We know that life expectancy is increasing. We know that there's a lot of concern about long-term care, and we know that as we age, we change our spending habits, and as the state prepares for these issues, they need to change their habits as well. On the way over, I made a stop to pick up, and some of you may want to get this on the third floor of the Old State Museum, the building that you passed next to the Baptist Church. This is the condensed version of the long bill. Now they're studying, what do they call it, Cliff Notes. But I did want to check and take a look at it, and if you pick up a copy of that on page 107, you find the adult assistance programs that are currently in this budget. And the total appropriation in the state long bill for senior services is $197 million. And they break that out, that's an 11.7% increase. On general fund, $50,548, a 3.1% increase. Cash funds, $126,150,000, that's an 18.3% increase. Reappropriated funds, about the same. And federal funds, $20,368,000, that's a 2% decrease. So the state is beginning to do what's necessary in order to get that job done. When we look at the federal dollars, however, and I brought the listing from the federal dollars, the federal government, just over $20 million, and it's broken into 17 different buckets. And no bucket can leak into the other bucket. And this is one of our issues. So they give money to the state of Colorado. It can only be spent in a particular way. And so on one side, you need a little more that you could do, and another side, a little less that you could do. We can't just shift that money like you can do at home and change it from one account to the other. And this creates a lot of the problems that we have. We're hearing a lot about that in transportation, that there are so many regulations on how they can use that money, that some of the programs that they would have the money to fund, they can't fund because they can't shift the money from some areas where there's a surplus. every year, just when they're beginning to work on the state budget, then the various departments go in and they do a study of what's happening, and they present that to the Joint Budget Committee. And they then ask questions and want additional information. Then they come back and they give them some of the information that they need in order to write the budget. And just part of the analysis from the Joint Budget Committee, total appropriations for senior services have grown 117.5% between the year 2004-05 and 2014-15. Additionally, appropriations during this period have increased at a higher level than that has the population of people at that time. A further analysis of the data from fiscal year 2004-05 to fiscal year 14-15 shows that the appropriations of money for senior services per capita using a population of individuals 60 years of age or older has ranged from a low of $24.27 per capita in 05-06 to a high of $33.53 in fiscal year 2014-15. The average in this 10-year period is $27.43 per capita. Staff projects further costs averaging an increase of $11.2 million per year beginning in fiscal year 2015 and continuing through 29-30. That's the period of time that we have to make these recommendations from the Strategic Action Planning Group. $11.2 million a year. That totals $167.7 million over this period for senior services to maintain the status quo that we have today. Well, if you think that we're going to get $167.7 million in additional state funding in order to maintain the status quo, I would like to know your secret, because many of our organizations could use it. And so I'm the bearer of bad news in saying that we cannot just assume that this is a state problem that can be solved by the state of Colorado. And we also know that this has to be solved by us. The way we live, the way we invest, the way we spend our money, types of things that we support, the types of issues that are created where the state might be having to take care of us that they wouldn't have to if we took care of ourselves a little bit different. We have an important role that the state can play. And one of those roles is to help get this information out so everybody is thinking about it. Another important role that the state can play is by making regulations easier so counties and cities, municipalities, can make the changes that are necessary in this area. On Friday and Saturday, I'll be over in Grand Junction talking to 20 counties over there with Club 20. We're really going to be talking about, this is not a state, it's not the same all over the state. Some counties, the senior population is decreasing, and others it's ballooning. And some might be decreasing now and balloon later, and vice versa. They have to really be taking a hard look at what they're going to do for the people in their counties. Everyone wants to help people, live in their homes longer, but we don't want to make a situation where that then is going to put them in isolation. And so it's important that as we look at these things, we reach out to all of the people. So public role, there is one. But we also have a private role for businesses and for organizations. And we have a personal role for our personal responsibility in the way we move things forward. So as we move, advocate in all of the areas. Get the word out. Change the stereotypes that people have about what it is to get older. Share the information. Invite us to your groups or organizations. Go on our website, see all of the wealth of information. We had the first draft on Monday of a literature study, 175 pages of all of the reports and things that have gone on over the last 5 years, from all across our state and all across the country, all with links that you can look it up to see that information, and you can drive yourselves and your organizations forward. So invite us out to share with you, share with each other, and continue to live a safe, fulfilling life as you age. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Eileen Doherty, and I'm the director of the Colorado Gerontological Society. Sometimes people ask me how long I have been there, and I always say forever, because I've been the director of that organization since 1982. I started out in aging in 1974 when I was 21 years old, and I have now been in this business long enough to become my own lawyer. So, these 60-plus programs that they talk about, I now qualify for. Matter of fact, I qualify for Social Security as well. So, anyway, be that all as it may, what I thought I might talk about very briefly is a couple of things that might be of interest in terms of some of the policy work that has gone on over the last however many years related to senior initiatives. So one of the things that some of you might be aware of is, and I honestly don't remember the year that this happened, but there is a program called the Property Tax Homestead Exemption, and that is a program that was passed in the Constitution, in which individuals who are 65 and over, who have lived in their own house for 10 years or more, can in fact qualify for a reduction in their property taxes on the first $200,000 of value of their home. So the way that this works is that if you had a house that was worth $300,000 and your taxes were $3,000, you could qualify for this program on the first $200,000 of value. $1,000 was the taxes on the first $100,000, $1,000 on the second $100,000, and $1,000 on the third. 300 or up to 300,000, then you would basically only pay 1,000 for the first 200,000, and that would then you would pay another 1,000 for the 200 to 300,000, saving yourself $1,000. This is a relatively significant program. There are no income qualifications, there are no resource qualifications. None of those kinds of things are required to take advantage of that program. You apply for that program through the county assessor's office. Once you file for the program, you do not have to file again. That information is kept on file. And so it's one of those programs that's available to a lot of people in the state. That is also the program that Senator Kafalis was talking about a little while ago, where the state legislature puts a certain amount of money in that program in the long bill, and if it is not all claimed by the taxpayers, then the overflow of that money goes into the Older Coloradans Fund. So if you are interested, if you're a homeowner, that may be one way to save a little bit of money. One of the things that happens in our office on a regular basis is people are always calling saying, I can't make my bills, I can't meet my expenses, and we find that many of them are homeowners and have not actually taken advantage of this particular benefit. Senator, you don't want to interrupt me? Are you sure? Do you have time? Sure. Okay. Okay, the second program that I thought I'd talk just briefly about is the property tax deferral. And this is a program that was sponsored by Congressman Mike Kaufman many years ago when he was in the state legislature. And the initiative for this program was also one of those in which we would find people who were elders and they were unable to make their property tax payment to the county. And so what this program does is that you can apply through the state, county, Department of Treasury or Revenue, whatever your county is, and you apply for this program. Your taxes have to be current, and then you apply, and the state then basically pays the county for your property taxes. You do have to renew that program every year. It's available to anyone who is a homeowner. It has to be your primary residence. And the other piece of that is that if you have a mortgage on your property, the mortgage company does have to agree to allow the state of Colorado to be in first place on the mortgage. So there is that little stipulation sometimes that causes some difficulties for getting people to actually be able to take advantage of it. At the time then, when you sell the property, then those liens get taken care of. They get paid just as any other mortgage or lien would get paid for, and then you get the proceeds of your house. Again, it's one of those programs where we are attempting to allow seniors who may not have as much income as they might need to be able to retain home ownership rather than for the home to go into a tax sale and for the individual to become homeless. So that's another one of those programs that we feel very strongly about letting more people know about. It's probably one of the least utilized programs, and it always makes me very sad when we get a call in our office for somebody whose house has gone for tax sale and they didn't know that they could take advantage of this program. So again, help us to spread the word. And the last program that I thought I would spend a couple of minutes about is a program that is directed more at low-income individuals, often called the PTC 104 program, or the Property Tax Rent Heat Credit Program. This particular program, you have to make less than about $12,800 in income. That is your total income from all sources. There are no resource limitations on it, so it's available, you know, if you had $10,000 or $15,000, $20,000 in the bank, you could still qualify for the program. And what that particular program does then is based on the amount of rent or property taxes that you pay, you get a certain portion of a refund. And it can be up to $780. Senator Kafalis a couple of years ago worked very hard with us so that there's a minimum that everybody who applies gets $250. To apply for that program, there's a form that's at the Department of Revenue's website, and you fill that form out, send it in, and usually within about, 6 to 8 weeks, you will get the first payment. You can apply for the 2015 benefit up through December 31st of 2017. If you know people who are eligible for the benefit and have not applied, you can also apply for the 2014 benefit through December 31st of 2016. If you have any problem with any of these programs and would like further information on the forms or whatever, feel free to give us a call. Thank you.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Senator Raleigh Heath from Boulder, and welcome. Glad to be here. As one of my colleagues said to me this morning in passing, whose name I won't mention, said, "Raleigh, your folks are here." I am the oldest member of the legislature by far, and proud to be here, proud to be a part of it, and proud to have a chance to have my voice heard down here on some of the issues that I know you care about a lot. This is my last year. I will miss it, to tell you the truth. It's been a great experience, one that's a real privilege. I see my colleague, Senator Evie Hudak, who I wish we still had with us, sitting back here, and she knows what a privilege it is to be in this position. So I'm going to talk just a little bit and then ask a favor of you all, because we've got some huge issues, I think, facing this state. I think most of you know I ran for governor in 2002 because I was very, very concerned about where this state was heading because of Tabor and the fact that we were not able to invest in what I think is the most critical things the government does. So I got involved and think I'd ever be in this position, but still have that same passion to figure out the fiscal policy of the state. And let me try just to put in perspective for you what I think not only the presidential election is about, but what the elections that are going to be facing all of us is about in November. And it's really a very, very simple question. And that is, this whole conversation is about what's the role of government. And unless you come to some kind of an agreement on what's the role of government, then this whole issue, the notion around fiscal policy and tax policy and all the things you were just hearing about really becomes almost irrelevant if you can't agree on what's the role. It doesn't matter what the role of this organization is, with my friend that Shackelford down there, you know, what's your role, what are you here to do? If you all didn't agree on that, then why are you here? And to me, it became very, very obvious as to how far apart we are. I had the privilege of chairing the long-term fiscal policy interim committee for the state back in 2009. And even though it was about looking at the long-term fiscal policy, I said, as chair, I want to make sure let's agree on what the role of government is before. And that committee had 16 people, 4 legislators, and then 12 people selected from the public by the President of the Senate, the Speaker of the House, etc. And literally 4 of the 16 said, the only role of government is 1 through 12, not preschool, not kindergarten, certainly not higher ed, 1 through 12, roads and bridges, infrastructure, and basically the court system, the prison system. Nothing else mattered. So you don't have higher ed in there, you don't have mental health in there, you have no safety net in there, and basically everybody is on their own. Well, if you agree that is the role of government, then those 4 members said we can adjourn this committee. There's no sense going any further because we've got enough money to do those 3 things. And I can even argue and debate with you if we've got enough money to do that, particularly if you look at 1 through 12. And mind you, there was no health care in there either, was there? There was no health care at all, whether it's Medicaid, whether there was no health care in there. These individuals did not believe government had any role in health care, period. So that's what this whole debate is about. And if you listen to the context of whether it's debates, whether it's going to be the local government, the Senate election here, the House elections, certainly people that are running for the legislature, that's what this conversation is going to be all about. And you got to listen to it in that context. So when we get into things like the hospital provider fee, I guess most of you know what that is. When you get into that context, and people say, how can you vote no against the hospital provider fee? Because it will free up money for the state to invest in health care, in K-12, in higher ed, in mental health. But if you don't believe that's the role of government, then the answer is it's easy to vote no. And my projection is they're going to vote no in the Senate, and we're not going to be able to pass the hospital provider fee no matter how hard we try. So, if you believe that here's one of the wealthiest states in the country, funding higher education at the lowest level in the country, we can debate whether it's Colorado or Mississippi, certainly funding K through 12, I'll call it P through 12, certainly in the bottom 10% of the country. And if you understand that all of the other things regarding the safety net, whether it's mental health and the issues that you all face, we're certainly not in the higher 50% of any of those, then you would have to say we've got an issue and we've got to deal with it. We have Tabor. Tabor's not going to go away, I can tell you that. People in this state want to vote on the right to raise their own taxes, but that's not really what Tabor did. That's not the biggest problem with Tabor. It's all the other things, the ancillary things that go with it. So on the this is my request, on the 2016 ballot, there will be one of 3 initiatives that basically deals with allowing us to do what Ref C did, for those of you that remember back, what Ref C did, which basically allowed the state to retain the revenue that it was collecting without raising taxes, the revenue that it was collecting and use that to invest in the fundamental needs of the state, which obviously, by my definition, hopefully yours, goes beyond those three basics. I don't know whether the initiative is going to be open-ended in terms of the allowing the revenue. It's going to be basically a total debrucing, just so you know, that basically it just says for either 10 years or for indefinite. And you're going to have, we'll have a choice. Only one is going to be on the ballot. You're going to have three choices. One that basically prescribes how the money is spent. Just so you know, two of those basically say 35%, minimum of 35% to K-12, minimum of 35% to transportation, the balance to mental health and senior issues. And senior issues. Basically, those are the four choices. One of them is going to say the legislature has total freedom to spend it however they see fit. As a legislator, I would say I would prefer that. I don't think that's what's going to come. So what I'm going to ask is, and then one of the options is indefinite, the other two are 10 years. Now I think my guess is the one that we're going to see on the ballot is the one that basically prescribes 35-35, balance to mental health and seniors, and a 10-year. But in any event, which one of those three comes up, please, with all the other things that are going on out there, presidential, U.S. Senate, the legislature. Obviously, selfishly, I'm going to be working very hard on getting the majority of the Senate back in Democratic hands, so we don't have some of this, these problems, but that's bias. I am the assistant minority leader of the Senate, was the majority leader until we lost it. But anyway, I'm going to ask you all, individually and as an organization, to do our very best to at least allow the state to retain the revenue that's coming in. As we've done a great job in growing this economy, we've done some really good things. But it all's for naught if we can't invest in the very things that we need to do to make sure that you all and the people of this state have the health care, the education, and all the other things that they need. So that's a huge request of you. But I appreciate the opportunity for me to get up here and talk about my passion, and I hope yours. Thank you all very much for coming. It's always a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you.
The more astute of you who are reading your programs have probably figured out that I am not Ruth Long. Ruth has been leading or involved in meetings since 9 o'clock yesterday morning, so we gave her a little bit of a break. My name is Joe Urban. I'm the Vice Chair of the Colorado Commission on Aging. And you heard a little bit about the commission this morning from Ruth, but I wanted to kind of elaborate on that a little bit and maybe expand on your knowledge base, which sometimes is kind of tough. Could I have the members of the commission who are here stand up, please? These folks give 2 days every other month of their own time to come and make your lives better, basically. And so, in addition to that, each one of them should have business cards in their pockets, which you paid for, by the way, which have their phone number, and you are willing to call them and encouraged to call them at any point that you have an issue. We are a voice for seniors in Colorado. We operate through the State Unit on Aging. There are 17 of us who are spread evenly amongst political parties, although if you lined them up right now, I could not tell you who is in what party. We act in a bipartisan fashion to educate the State Unit on Aging in terms of what we feel are the priorities, what are the most important things, and we also educate the public on what we feel are the most important things. In terms of the public education, we're a big supporter of Senior Day at the Capitol. It's a wonderful event, and we've been involved with that for a long time. Ruth this morning mentioned the Allen Buckingham Award. One of the biggest challenges we have with the Allen Buckingham Awards is getting those quality people nominated. So you can do that anytime during the year. You can do it right now while you're sitting there if you got your bag with you. We also have the Centenarian Celebration, which is a year-long nomination event. When somebody turns 100, we want to recognize them immediately. So either of those can be turned in. One thing I do want you to recognize in particular, in your packet, or if you've got a pen handy, coloradoaging.com. coloradoaging.com is the website, the link to the website for the Commission on Aging. They will give you a lot more information about our events and what we do. You also want to know not necessarily what we do, but what we have done. And over the course of the last year, a number of things have happened. Probably one of the more notable things was the collaboration with the commission, between the Commission and the State Unit on Aging to develop the Aging Framework, which we hope informs the Strategic Action Planning Group. We hope that's a basis to work off of to go forward. And a gentleman in particular, I don't know if Ben is in the room. Ben Moultrie, are you here?
Yeah.
Okay. Ben was very active in that process and gave a great deal of his own time to do that. The Commission was involved in developing the 4-year plan, or helping review the 4-year plan for the State Unit on Aging. We don't get 1-year funding in our business. We get 4-year projections. And so we have to put that together. We have to know where the needs are going to be in 4 years. And it's not an easy process. It's a very difficult process. And Mindy Kemp, the new director of the State Unit, had to be involved with that right out of the chute as she started. And we were able to assist a little bit in that regard. And we also support key legislation throughout the year. We advise the State Unit when there's a piece of legislation coming forward. Representative Danielson, who is also a member of the Commission on Aging, introduced some legislation which some of you may be familiar with, which allows testifying through deposition rather than in person when you're unable to appear in court. That's going to have a huge impact on seniors going forward if that legislation goes through. So please do your best to support that. We have focus areas. This year our focus was on 3 primary areas: housing, transportation, and mental health. And it probably comes as no surprise to anybody because those are all hot topic areas right now. And we're happy that we've gained the knowledge we have and imparted our opinions in that regard. I want to reemphasize what was already said earlier. Due to the efforts of Colorado Senior Lobby, the Commission on Aging, and everybody in this room, the state has seen significant increases over the course of the last 3 years in terms of allocations from the state of Colorado. So you should applaud yourself for that. That's a huge effort and an accomplishment. We can get a lot more done in the federal government, I think is what that says. Once again, coloradoaging.com. There's a lot more information there, and I would encourage you to go there and look at it. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I know you're thinking, oh, goody, she's back. Anyway, I do work for AARP, and a few things that I didn't share with you this morning. Does everybody know what the age is when you become a member for AARP? 50, that's right. Okay, so there's some of you. And how many members do we have in the state of Colorado? Anybody have any guesses? No? A bunch. 650,000 is roughly what our number is. About 35 million in the United States. So, we're a pretty big group. What are the big issues to us on the national level? Number 1, want to guess? Social Security. And I just want to say, did anybody see our commercials for Take a Stand? Yes. Right? Yes. Yes. Anyway, yes, those were a lot of fun. And what that is, Take a Stand, is all about the presidential campaign this year, and specifically Social Security. Did you know that Social Security is 100% solvent till 2034? 2034. So when they say it's going broke, all that stuff, that's all nonsense. It is 100% solvent till 2034. But what happens then? It drops to 75%. Benefits drop by 75%. Yeah, to 75%. Yeah, sorry. End of the day. Anyway, this could be as much as around $10,000 a year. I'll just say, I just turned 50 this last year. I'm going to be 69 then. This is me. This is a real deal. And this is why we're trying to get these candidates to talk about what are you going to do to make Social Security solvent for the future. And we have a website.
It's www.2016 Take a Stand. And there you can learn all about the candidates for president and their proposals for fixing Social Security. There is one candidate that has not presented a plan. We're trying to pressure everyone to do it. So when you're out in the campaign trail, and I'll just say this in case you didn't know, Colorado is a battleground state. They are going to be here. All the candidates are going to be here wanting your vote. Please, please, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, and talk to the candidates. What is your plan to keep Social Security solvent for the future? Well, that's one idea. At ARP, I'll just say we're not officially proposing anything. We want the candidates to come out with their own plans. Eventually we'll start saying something, but right now we want them to speak. We want to hear their ideas without saying, well, ARP's, what's your plan? And then we'll discuss it from there. Another big issue I just want to say that's going through on the federal level too. There is a Department of Labor rule going on to say that if somebody, like I was telling you this morning about what we want for savings, well, if you have a broker or whatever, how do you know that they're acting in your best interest? You don't. So it's a rule being presented by the Department of Labor that says they have to act as a fiduciary and represent you, not who's paying them the most commission. It's, again, Department of Labor rule. It's not legislation. But there have been some people that are proposing legislation, and it's basically to thwart this on behalf of the industry. And it got slowed down too. I'll just say, just so you guys know, our own Representative Jared Polis was one of the ones leading the charge to slow down the effort. That was not helpful. That was not helpful at all. So we're getting close to that. I just want you guys to be aware of that as well. So those are two big things on the federal level. A little bit more about ARP. Beyond what, advocacy, I think that's the big reason why everybody joins, right? But I know you've probably seen, we also have a magazine. We offer a driver safety program. We have a tax aid program. The Attorney General talked about elder fraud issues in our Elder Watch. Super incredible program. So we offer a lot too beyond just what I do. So anyway, but again, I think it's important. And who makes it all possible? Our volunteers. And I'm sorry that none of them are here, but every Monday morning at 9 o'clock they get together during session, and they're the ones that do the work. They testify, they lobby, they do everything, and I am blessed to work with them. So thanks, everybody.
Could we have another round of applause for all of our presenters? Now, I see some of you looking at your watches. It's okay, me too. And don't be mad, please, ma'am, please, sir. But we're going to have to skip the question section. Now, let me just say this, and I know that Colorado Senior Lobby hasn't heard this, but for those of you who have those burning questions that you really want some answers or some guidance to, I'm going to suggest you can go on their website or their phone number, and that's all located in your information, to try to get them to steer you toward some answers for some of those questions that you had. So hopefully that's all right with you, because it is almost time for us to take leave of the building, so we're going to have to move through. But wasn't this a wonderful, informative day for everybody? I've learned a lot, almost more than I wanted to know. But I have learned a lot about the senior population and just about that whole historical number of people who are turning 65 plus, not only in the state of Colorado, but in our whole United States. So with that being said, now is your turn. What can you do in order to make this event and in order to make some of those legislative proposals go forward? This is where you come in. I'm going to personally talk to more people than I've ever talked to before about our senior population. That's one thing. Some of you may already be doing that. But I would just ask you that you make a plan, have a call to action when you leave here today. one thing based on everything that you heard that you can do as an individual, then perhaps as a group, but to keep the conversation going, to keep the actions going, to keep it on the minds of those people who are responsible for how we live out our lives as seniors here in Colorado. So, membership. On the website, Colorado Senior Lobby, they have several levels of sponsorship. And I did my homework, I looked them up. You can make a donation. There's a sustaining membership, and these all have different prices. There's a sustaining membership. You can make an organizational membership. There is family membership, and there's also the individual membership. And remember, I just got a check from someone, so if any of you others would like to become members today, you can see me. You can see Karen Brown. Karen, raise your hand. Can everybody see Karen? And Kai Agnew. The three of us would be more than happy to take any monies that you would like to give up today for this wonderful organization. We'd like to thank all of our sponsors. They were scrolling on the screen as we had lunch, but those are also listed in your program. And don't forget about next year. This year has come and gone, so we're already working on something for next year. So if you want to be a part of that, once again, contact the Colorado Senior Lobby. Now, one last thing, and we're going to be out of here. On your table, all the centerpieces, those are gifts. And remember we said you must be present to win. So we were trying to figure out the most equitable way to give away the centerpieces. So at your table, you don't have to say the year, but we're going to give the center